99% of people are using Claude Cowork completely wrong. And honestly, I don't blame them because there's nothing about the interface that tells you what it's actually capable of. Most people open it, type a question, get an answer, and think, okay, this is just Claude with a different layout. But that's not what this tool is at all. Claude Cowork is an autonomous employee. You basically hand it a task, you can walk away from your computer, and you can come back to finished work sitting in a folder, sorted, formatted, and ready to use. There's no babysitting, no back and forth, no prompting it every 5 minutes to keep it going. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set it up properly, how to build skills that run on a schedule without you touching anything, and how to connect it to tools that you already use so it's doing real work for your business every single day. Claude Cowork lives inside the Claude desktop app, and it works completely differently to anything else in the Claude lineup. So when you give it access to a folder on your computer like this, it can read files, it can write files, create new ones, and it can execute multi-steps with tasks entirely on its own. And when the work gets complex, you can spin up parallel sub-agents to handle different parts of the job all at the same time. So let me show you what it can do. I'm going to select a folder that I've already created, which is Claude Cowork. And inside Claude Cowork, I've got some invoices. Now, these are just automatic invoices, fictitious data that I asked ChatGPT to create for me. There's nothing special about this data. The point I'm trying to make here is I've worked with businesses where they process invoices, and this task takes hours, and in most cases, they employ 1 or 2 people to do this. And I'm not even joking. So I'm going to ask Cowork to basically take over this laborious task and do it for me. I've given you access to a folder called Claude Cowork. Inside this folder, there are some invoices. Can you look at these invoices, sort them out based on sales, categories, and anything else that you think is useful for me? This is a very laborious task. It takes me hours every single week. And in most business cases, we have about 100 invoices to process. So make this easy for me. Here's the prompt, and I'm going to click Let's Go. You can see here, it's actually processing everything that I've asked it to do. It's looking at the invoices inside of the folder, which is great because it's actually planning all the steps before it will execute. Now, this is great in a contextual environment because I'm on the Pro plan, so I don't have unlimited tokens. So I want to make sure that Claude plans everything before it executes. This will save me time, but more importantly, this will save me tokens. Now it's actually asking me some questions. So what would you like this most useful for your workflow? Or what would make this the most useful for your workflow? And I'm just going to go for the recommended response, which is auto process. And will these invoices be in the same format? Again, this is very specific for your business. I've put this in an Excel file, so I'm going to click yes. And now it's working on it. So now you can see the full picture. There's already a sales tracker XLS with 5 sheets, which is something that I tested earlier before I was recording the video. But you're going to basically see what this Cowork agent is capable of doing. It's got a progress bar on the right-hand side here. So it's read the context file. It's inspected the invoices. Now it's building the auto processing script. And remember, I haven't done any of this. All I'm doing is prompting it. I'm literally sitting here recording this video for you guys whilst my Cowork agent is doing all the grunt work. And you can see here at the bottom, it's actually writing a Python script. And if you've been following Claude, you know that Claude Code is the best coding platform on the planet, which is effectively what Cowork is built on. And this is a fundamental difference between Claude Code and Claude Cowork. One is a chat, so you have to prompt it. Cowork is an agent. You can actually set this up. You can install skills. You can create agents, and you can schedule these tasks. So you can see now all 6 items were processed. All the data is accurate, which is very important if you're going to do this for a client. And once the task is done, you're going to get an output that looks like this. This is the sales tracker. You can see that I plugged in 3 invoices here. It's got total revenue, and it's categorized it by revenue, by category, by client, and it looks really good, right? This has all been formatted by Claude Cowork. It's even built in the formulas. You can't really see it in this. I'd have to open it in something like Excel, but it's actually coded the formula into these cells here. And it's even separated it by tabs. So you've got a category tab, client, line items, and an invoice index. But let's say you're doing this for a client and this is a weekly task. It's tiring, it's time consuming, and you can automate this. This is a skill that you can sell. And if you're going to do this for multiple clients, then you want to create a skill for this. This is a process that I sell to clients for my agency. And let's see what Cowork comes back with. It's not running the skill. It's not going to build this entire thing. And just think of skills as workflows. So in the old days, when I first started my agency, I was using NA10. And this was very time consuming, but now I can just do this with a tool like Cowork, and I can save these workflows into skills. So then I can reuse these skills, aka workflows, for multiple clients. I'm gonna allow it always. It's now creating the skill.md file. So effectively what I've done is I've created a new workflow. I've given it data. I've given it a simple prompt. I'm now creating the workflow for it. And next step, I'm going to schedule this. So what used to take a few hours in tools like N8N or Make.com can now be done in a few minutes. You don't need any nodes. There's no connection of nodes, no connectors. You don't need APIs. You don't need tokens. It's all done inside of Claude Cowork. And honestly, this is the most seamless I've ever built workflows. I can literally put my feet up. I can sip cocktails. I can smoke cigars. Life has never been easier. What's great about Cowork, as you can see here, it's actually using 6 agents simultaneously to get tasks done much faster. Now, there is some kind of API error. I don't really know what it is. I don't really care because I know Cowork is going to fix this by itself, which it has done. It's done all 3 evals, ran successfully, and it's now finalizing the workflow. And as always, on the right-hand side here, you've got the progress bar. You've got the Cowork bar as well. You can see everything that is built for this specific workflow/agent. Once it's done, this is the invoice processor skill that is built. You can have a look inside here. It's just a markdown file. That just means that for every agent, doesn't matter which platform you're using this on, they will use a .md markdown file. And it's just a set of instructions, like a workflow, like a checklist of what it needs to do for this particular process. You can have a look inside of here just to see what it's doing. And if you're happy, you can save the skill. You can save it inside of your Claude Cowork desktop app. So I'm gonna hit save skill. And it told you what's bundled inside the skill. So you've got the skill.md, which is just instructions for Claude. And it's got the process invoices Python script. It's actually tested the Python script. So Claude never has to write this again from scratch for any client. This is truly groundbreaking stuff. And if you're happy with everything that Cowork has designed and developed for you, you can now schedule this. Schedule this process every Monday at 8 a.m. Let's hit submit and Claude should set this up as a scheduled task. And here you go. If you're happy with this, just click on schedule. I'm not going to do that, but if you were going to head and do this, just click on the schedule button. If you want to change the time or the day, you just go back and reprompt it. So now that you know how it works, let me show you how you're going to set this up. First of all, you're going to need the Claude desktop app. So head over to Claude's website, just download one for your machine. I'm on the Mac, so I'm using the Mac installation. The second thing you're going to need is a subscription plan. So you can't do this on the free plan because you can't access Claude Code or Claude Cowork on the free tier. You're going to need at least the $20 a month, I believe it is, tier, or you've got a $200 a month option. My suggestion is try out the $20 a month. If you're happy with it, if you've got use cases, if you've got clients and you sell this as a service to, then upgrade to the $200 a month plan. And so for the first step, you're going to need to select a folder. Now I've created one called Claude Demo, and you need to give it some permission. So I'm always going to allow this because this is what I want to do. I want Cowork to interact with these folders. And then you want to give it some folder structure. Now this is just best practice if you're going to be doing this regularly, and you want to use this better than 99% of people because that's what I'm showing you in this video. And this is a very standardized approach. You just set it up once and you're good to go. I've given you access to a folder called Claude Demo. Inside this folder, I want you to create 3 folders. The first one is context, the second one is project, and the third one is output. I want you to use these folders and basically categorize all work going forward so that it's tidy in subfolders and we can reuse this setup. Once you're happy, just click on Let's Go. So it's now going to look inside of Claude Demo, which is the folder I've given it access to, and it's now creating the 3 folders. And it even knows, right? I didn't really give it that much context in the prompt, right? I just said create context, project, output. But it knows that context is for background information, briefs, and reference materials, which it absolutely is. The project is for active work files and drafts, yes. And the output is for final deliverables. Going forward, I'll save files into the right subfolders depending on what they are. And then once you have the folders created, you want to create some markdown files. And the markdown files are just like the skills files that we created. It just gives it guidelines, right? It gives it guidance because every project might be different. Now, if you have the same project, you can use the same markdown files. That's absolutely fine. But generally, when I'm working with clients, I'm working across different projects. So I want to make sure that I have different markdown files for branding, for storytelling, for my voice, that kind of stuff. I want you to create 3 markdown files. The first one is about me. So that's everything about my agency, the types of clients that I'm working with, the types of projects that I deliver. The second is brand voice. So this is my clients' branding, their voice, their personality, color palettes, that kind of stuff. And the third is preferences. And this could be related to the output of the project. What does the client want as their deliverables? Before you create this, ask me relevant questions so we can build the best possible markdown files and use these with my clients. Once you're happy with the prompt, just hit submit and let's see what Cowork comes back with. So I haven't given it any context. I want to build this from scratch so I can show you the process that Cowork goes through. And it's going to use the Ask User question library. And then you just simply answer the questions that's asking you. So I could be marketing growth, for example. I work with solopreneurs and small to medium businesses. And what does the brand voice files need to cover? So this could be tone, personality, and messaging pillars, and maybe do's and don'ts. Again, this is going to be dependent on your client's deliverables. So whenever you do an onboarding with your client, make sure you ask them these questions. And if you're not sure, get Cowork to build a checklist, like a brand voice guidelines that you can ask on every call. And what is the most common client deliverables? Again, this is going to be up to you. I'm just going to select written documents. But for most of our clients, it's going to be workflows. It's going to be SOPs, anything to do with AI and automation, which is the predominant work that I do for my agency. And then it's going to go ahead and build this for you. If it needs more details, it's just going to follow up with more questions. That's absolutely fine because this is what you want to do. You definitely want to take the time out and go through this because if you're building this for clients, this is worth serious money. The final part of this video is to show you how you can customize everything inside of Cowork, which includes skills, plugins, and connectors. So head over to the menu, click on Customize, and it should take you to this screen here. So first thing you want to do is connect your existing apps. And there's a ton of apps in here. Some of my favorites are Slack, which is what I use with my clients and my team for all communications. There's obviously going to be Google Drive, Google Calendar, Google and Gmail, but also tools like Asana, which is what I use for collaboration, both working for, with my team and also keeping clients in the loop. And if you do any CRM work, there is connectors like HubSpot, which is obviously one of the most popular CRMs out there. And if you're somebody like me who jumps on client calls but doesn't actually take any notes because I use AI to do it for me, you've got tools like Fireflies. You can connect that up inside of the connectors here. And what this allows you to do is basically get the transcription of any call that you've had, and you can use an agent. You can schedule this to run whenever you have a call. And what this agent does, it will actually take the transcription and it can turn it into a proposal. And this is a major life hack. This is a great way to save a ton of time and send your clients a very personalized proposal. The next feature is skills. So there's two ways to do this. You can actually download skills that's already on the marketplace, both from Anthropic and their partners. So these are very, obviously verified. It actually tells you the number of times they've been downloaded and installed, and you can sort by most popular. So have a look at that. There's some great ones like Canvas Design, MCP Builders, which means that you can basically connect to any third-party app using technology called MCP. And if you can't see it, just do a search for it. Most of the times you will find it. That's the first way. That's kind of off the shelf. The second way is what I showed you earlier, and you can actually create this. You can actually get Cowork to create a skill for you based on a process. If this is a very custom, unique process, let's say for a particular client or a client in that industry, then you can just get Claude to do it for you. And the last feature here is plugins. So you can actually install plugins from Anthropic and their partners. This is going to be, features, extensions from various apps. So let's say you want to do some outbound cold emailing, use a service like Apollo. You can actually install the Apollo plugin, and what this lets you do is it can prospect, it can enrich leads, it can load outreach sequences, and it does it all in Apollo. Effectively, this is as a plugin, but it's essentially an MCP. So it's basically allowing you inside of Claude Cowork to connect to Apollo using a single protocol. And obviously you're going to need an Apollo account for this, but then you can do all this inside of Cowork. It's very centralized. And these are skills that it automatically gives you access to, which is enrich, prospect, and sequence load. And before you go, there is one last important step that almost everyone skips, and that is global instructions. So what you want to do is click on this menu here, go to your profile, and click on settings. You want to find Cowork, and make sure this global instructions here is set. Click on edit, and this is what I put in here. So you can just literally copy this. I'm basically Sanj. Before setting or starting any task, read my context files first. This is very important. This saves me a ton of time. It gets the context right, but more importantly, it doesn't use more tokens than it needs to. Because even though I'm on a subscription and I'm paying for Claude and I'm paying for Cowork and all the other tools, there are still limits. And you're going to hit these limits faster if you're burning up tokens. The next one is always ask clarifying questions before executing. Next is show a brief plan before taking action. Again, this is all about efficiency and burning the least amount of tokens. The default output should be docx for Word documents, and never delete files without my explicit approval. This is the most important one. I've actually hard-coded it into how Claude Cowork operates. If you want another layer of protection, what I would suggest is that you basically create duplicates of every file that you dump inside of folders, just to be sure. Set up the workspace, write the MD files, add your global instructions, build your first skill, schedule it, and connect to tools that you're already using. Follow this and you'll be getting more out of Claude Cowork than 99% of people who have access to it right now. And if you enjoyed this video, please do me a solid and smash the like button. Give the algorithm some love. Help me grow the channel. Help me reach more people. Share it with friends, family, or colleagues. If you're not a subscriber, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button. Because I'm somebody that drops AI sauce. I live this, I breathe this, I run an AI agency, and I'm doing this full time. And the goal of this channel is to show you how you can use AI to make money. That's all I care about. I don't care about how sexy it is. I don't care about what's new on the market. All I care about is how can I use these tools to make me, my community, and you guys more money. See you next time. But before you go, say it with me. Something magical is going to happen today, because once you install Claude Cowork, it absolutely will. It's going to change your lives. It's going to change your clients' lives. It's changed my life and my private community's lives. And it's serious kit. And even though I'm a Google Gemini fanboy, I have to be honest and admit that Claude is absolutely smashing it out of the park. They have tools and services that nobody's touching right now. And if you want more information on how you can use AI to build a business, click on the link in the video description. Thank you so much if you made it this far, and I'll see you next time.